Hey everyone, my name's Ben. I'm a first year psychiatry resident, and I am kind of making this video and hopefully subsequent videos in an effort to try to record my residency experience real time, which is scary. But hopefully, kind of for friends, family, as well as really myself, just to document and always wanted to keep a journal, but really am a pretty poor writer, and but it turns out I can talk a lot, and so I figured this would be a decent solution potentially, to kind of document some of my experience, which so far is only been 2 weeks. I've been over here. And so far it's been pretty good. I mean, it's been pretty chill. It's been orientation, so I haven't done anything really. So it's easy for me to say things are really good right now. But just to kind of walk you through what the first 2 weeks of residency have been like for me. I'm in a class of a total of 4, including myself, so I have 3 other co-residents, and my co-residents are awesome. I already feel like I'm good friends with all of them, which is really cool. I wasn't sure if that was going to be the case. I'd heard lots of different stories over the years. Of course, residency is super challenging, and sometimes you run into people that you don't get along with, that you don't meet with, and that's just part of real life. But it's always nice when the people that you're, going through something challenging with, you are close to or enjoy being around and feel like you can relate to, and that's definitely the case for me. So I feel really blessed in that regard, and no one in my class is from kind of the Boise area, and so everyone's been moving in, and so I actually had an opportunity to help them move in and kind of meet them before orientation, before our job started. And so that was really neat, was we were able to kind of connect before everything got even crazy, and just kind of get to know each other a little bit and help each other out, and that was really cool. And so even on day 1 of my orientation, Jaren, I think parked right next to me, like right when I got there too. So I already had I don't know if other people are like this, but it's always awkward for me the first time I'm going anywhere for the first time in a new spot, and you're just kind of walking all alone, hoping you're in the right location. You don't even know anything. And so even just having him, who was like, oh, what's up, Sharon? Let's figure this out. Let's figure out where we're going and where we're supposed to be. And already I felt like got off on a really nice note. But yeah, kind of day 1, we showed up, met the program director and some of the other residents that were kind of present, and they plopped this down in front of everyone, which is just kind of the resident handbook, which is just chock full of important information that we kind of went through pretty in depth, but that I remember very little of. More that if I need to reference it, I can find it in this binder of all power, this all know. It's just a resource to be able to reference. Definitely don't remember half the things that are in there, but it's there. And that was the first thing they handed in front of us, and we kind of have gone through. In fact, I have my orientation schedule right here, which I can kind of walk you through, but just really kind of meeting with the residents on day 1, talking with the program director about policies and kind of the direction of the program, kind of the different, I would say, logistical and housekeeping items of residency, as far as, this is kind of what you signed up for, and this is how things are going to operate. These are kind of what the policies that are in place for, what do you do when you're sick? What do you do when you have this question to reference here? This is what is okay. This is what is not okay. Some of those kind of conversations were kind of had, and that was really helpful. And hopefully I can remember some of those things. But kind of throughout the rest of the week, that was a lot of, I'd say the first week of orientation was meeting with different members of the faculty, mostly with the program director, but also some of the other faculty, just going over kind of various topics, from a lot of policies to starting to dive into some of the actual I guess like useful tips and tricks of like psychiatric interviewing, talking about maybe specific topics within psychiatry, so like substance use disorders and kind of withdrawal and intoxication, toxidromes, what those might look like, just starting to kind of create a thought process and an idea of kind of how you would begin to start handling those kinds of situations. But it really has been just kind of a whirlwind of meeting tons of different people. We spent a good bit in our first week too with our internal medicine residency colleagues, which share the same building as us, which is really cool. But we spent a day or two, because as part of my psychiatric training, I will have 6 months of internal medicine and neurology exposure and experience. And so they get to teach us a little bit how to be an IM resident as a psych resident. So just practicing, and I have the internal medicine program director is awesome, as well as my own program director. They're both really cool. But she's just really, really funny. And we were doing this activity where essentially we were handed kind of a list of patients and their general kind of synopsis of just what's going on with their medical care. And we were asked to, okay, now pretend like it was us and a bunch of internal medicine residents, and they grouped us up into maybe like groups of 6 to 8, and they had one of the internal medicine chief residents in the room, and he had the phone, and then the program director for internal medicine was kind of role playing as nursing staff and lab and other like consult physicians, people that you will interact with and call and get pages from while you're on internal medicine. And so we kind of get this sheet of patients for our group to kind of go over, and then chief resident had his phone on speaker, and they're like, all right, now we're going to start kind of like essentially like simulate like phone calls and pages that you'll get for like a shift that you're doing. And of course, as the sore thumb in the group, they had the psych intern go first, which was me. And of course, I like don't know anything and don't know. So you get the program director calls the phone, and it's on speaker so everyone can hear me. And hi, I'm Dr. Pennock. Hi, this is Dr. Pennock. And oh, hi, doctor. Yeah, so so-and-so's potassium level just came back, and it was 3.2 or something like that, I think. And okay, I needed to let you know. Do you want us to get something going for that? And my mind completely went like blank. Like in my in my head, I remembered incorrectly that the normal range of potassium was, for some reason in my head, I was like, oh, it's from 3 to 5. So I was like 3.2, 3.1. I was like, I think we're still okay. So she's like, yeah, do you want us to do anything? And I'm like, nope. Like, I was just like, yeah, no, I think we're good, thanks. And we could use each other as resources, and I could feel everyone kind of go like, what the heck did you just say? And they're like, no, you need to like start potassium, like that's low. And so, but just the program director on the phone was like, once I said like, yeah, no, we're good, she was like, oh, okay, like, great, just check it. Like, it was definitely not the response she was expecting. And it was funny because I quickly was like, oh, actually, like, never mind, I actually do want to start potassium, like that'd be a great idea. Apologies for that error on my behalf. And yeah, and then I think we ended the conversation and then we had some debriefing thereafter on what things I could do better, which in that moment was a lot. So that was embarrassing and fun. and yeah, it was not the best moment of my life. Um, so there's that, but overall, everyone's been super nice, and I know before residency, there was a lot of people that kind of gave the advice of get as far away from medicine as possible. And I took that advice. Like the last 2 months, I really have distanced myself from a lot of medicine, just kind of focusing on fun, stupid, silly things, focusing on my family as well, and just kind of enjoying the time off, sleeping in, just kind of trying to relax before this challenging time starts. And anyway, this was one of those moments where I was like, yeah, you know, it's time to start refreshing myself on, correct potassium ranges and how to be a doctor because that's going to be required of me very soon. So I kind of wish I would have done a little bit more prep, but yeah, that was our week one. Week two, like flipping over, just kind of looking like we did. Yeah, more like reviewing. So at the VA, they have their own EMR system, which is called CPRS, I think. Yeah, CPRS, which is new to me. I've never worked at a VA. I've never used that system before, and so we kind of got a first glance at it, and it's going to be kind of interesting. I think it'll come relatively quickly. It's a pretty simple, kind of short and sweet, not overly complicated. So I think it will be okay, but I definitely have more experience with Epic, which is a very popular EMR, and that is something that we'll use for other rotations in the future. So, but just stuff like that. Another, I would say, rough spot in my orientation was we have these things called CVSs, which I think stand for Clinical Skill Verification or something like that. Essentially, these are kind of like checkpoints in your education as a resident to make sure that you're meeting the competencies, and you'll kind of have these CSVs periodically throughout your residency experience. And so hopefully as you progress through residency, you're improving in these areas and eventually kind of reach closer to what an attending level would or a senior resident would be at. Anyway, they had us do these cases, and I saw it on the schedule. I was kind of like, oh, CSV, like, oh, this is probably like intro, like they'll just kind of teach us how to do stuff. No. This was like, okay, we're all coming to this conference room, and they're like, okay, we have, it was all full of faculty from the residency, and they essentially half the faculty were the patients that we were seeing, and so it was a kind of a variety of patient cases. So someone who is acutely suicidal, someone who is like going through alcohol intoxication withdrawal, someone who was delirious on the floor after post surgery, and I think the other one was acutely psychotic. And so the different faculty are kind of role playing as these patients, and then there were the other half of the faculty are grading you on, okay, interview this patient and get all the necessary information from them, and then present the case to us. And I was not prepared for that moment. I wish I would have prepared for that moment if I had more of a heads up, because it's very intimidating when your superiors are not only your patients but also your graders, and they're all in the room with you, and they're all just watching you as you try to figure stuff out on the fly. So that was a nice, humbling experience as I struggled very hard trying to remember the different aspects of a mental status exam, trying to remember my psych review of systems, just remembering also some more, I'd say, like general medicine principles as well, just making sure that you have all the information, remembering all of it, which I failed probably 4 times in a row. with those 4 patients. And so a good opportunity again for me to practice and recognize for the faculty really, really quickly to see a lot of my weaknesses up front, and hopefully to be able to work with me to remedy those and improve them over time. But it was not it was not a fun experience. I wanted it to be a fun experience, and it was not a fun experience. It was pretty brutal, actually. I felt really crappy leaving that, but luckily I wasn't alone, and a lot of my co-residents also felt really crappy leaving it. So that, in a way, made me feel somewhat better, because at least I wasn't totally alone and feeling like that went like crap. But yeah, so far I've been really enjoying the time. We did a raft trip as kind of at the end of our second week of orientation, just this last Thursday, and that was really fun to, again, like kind of meet as a residency. So it was all the PGY 2, 3, 4s. So some of the senior residents, some faculty was there, and just fun to do something totally, again, outside of medicine and connect with the residency. And as a whole, I couldn't be more confident that I feel like the faculty and my co-residents are fantastic and will prepare me very well for a future in psychiatry, which I'm very excited for. And just very welcoming, just very, even in those hard moments where, I don't know, what I'm doing, they find a way to give feedback in a generally positive way, depending on the faculty. But yeah, that's just the way it is, and it always has been. I think it will be. But yeah, up and coming these next 2 weeks. Really, I feel like my day 1 starts tomorrow, so I'm very nervous about that. I start on the psychiatric inpatient unit, and it's still kind of this. I'm unclear how responsible / like independent I'm going to be in this first week and a half or so on the psych inpatient unit. My understanding is that it will be an opportunity to really see what everything's like, to not quite be thrown into the deep end. You'll have an attending right there, and you'll be able to ask questions and figure things out, and to kind of orient yourselves to what residency is going to be like for the next few years. So very nervous about that tomorrow, but hopefully that goes well. And I'll try to kind of make these videos hopefully every 2 weeks or so. It's kind of my tentative goal. We'll see if I even come close to that. I've said I was going to do lots of things when it comes to journaling and failed miserably at all of them. So I'm optimistic that I can stay consistent. But yeah, I feel at the end of 2 weeks, I'm pretty nervous, honestly. Like, I'm excited because I kind of reached my goal. I wanted to be a psychiatrist. I wanted to graduate medical school and get into residency, and so far all of those things have happened. So it feels really nice to feel like that last hurdle, or one of the last hurdles at least. I don't know, that's a big deal. But I am very scared, just because I know what I don't know, and I also don't know what I don't know, and I'm very intimidated by my lack of knowledge. And hopefully, I've got my work cut out for me in these next few weeks, and definitely a few years, but I'll try to keep you guys posted, and I'll definitely have more. We haven't had any patient exposures yet up to this point. It has just been orientation, meeting with the faculty, getting familiar with the program, getting familiar with just policies that are in place, and where to find information. So all good things, but not a ton to report at this point, but I will have more to say probably the next time that we chat. So on that note, I can't necessarily think of it. Oh yeah, hold on. When I see, so this is my St. Luke's badge, which is pretty cool. And I don't know, it's both awesome and exciting to look at that and terrifying to look at that. I'm still undecided how I feel about it. It is cool, but that carries a lot of weight. So anyway, until we meet again, I will tell you what the next 2 weeks are like, but otherwise, I'll talk to you later. See ya.